Hi, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to make some bridal jewelry. I'm going to make a keepsake message in a bottle necklace, and I'm going to customize my bottle using crystal clay and Swarovski Chatons, and I'm going to stick a little message in it. So before I begin, I want to show you a piece that Nunn made using the same exact jewelry component. This is an Itsy bottle with a channel top, just so you can see the very different types of designs you can make with the same component. So this is very earthy and organic. It's got leaves and organic material in it. And then what I'm going to make with it is going to be pretty sparkly and very modern and very clean and definitely wedding themed. So I've already cut myself a little message out of just white printer paper, and I just took a mechanical pencil and wrote a little note to my husband on there. And I rolled it up. So that's going to be the message that I'm going to put in my bottle when this is all done. And I am going to customize my bottle, like I said, with crystal clay, which is an epoxy clay. It will harden on its own. So unlike a polymer clay where I would have to bake it, this is going to air dry, which is really nice. I'm going to be using some of this figure-8 chain to hang my bottle from. I have 2 feet here, and I made it 2 feet so it'd be really nice and long. And that way I also don't have to have a clasp. You can even make it 3 feet if you maybe wanted to tuck it under a shirt or under a dress, just have it as a special thing that only you know is there. So that's the chain I chose because it's nice and sparkly and very petite. I'm going to be using oval jump rings because this whole necklace is very elongated. The vial itself is very long, the chain is long, so I thought I would carry that theme through with oval jump rings instead of round. The small ones here are 21 gauge, 3mm by 4mm, and I needed them to be that 21 gauge so it'll fit through my figure-8 chain. And then the larger one, which is going to fit through the loop on top of my bottle, is going to be a 20 gauge 4x6. Then I'm going to be using these Swarovski crystal Chatons. They're size 14 pp and they're crystal. I'm going to be using some E6000 to glue the lid onto my bottle. It doesn't screw on or stay on its own, so you are going to need to glue it in place. And then, like I said, I already made my little message. And then just real quick before I begin this, just to show you another option is there's also these other little bottles by Nunn Design, and they just have a pretty hammered top. So let's say you wanted to make this project, but you did not want to customize the top, you just want something really sleek and elegant. That is an option too. But for this video, I want to show you how to do this because I think it'll be really pretty. So I'm going to open up my epoxy clay. And this is nice because it's like a little kit. You get a couple different things with it. There's instructions on how to use it, which I'm going to show you here in this video, but in case you don't have the video popped open when you're doing this, do know you get instructions. So I'm just going to scoot all of this up into the side, and I don't need this right now either. So you're going to get 2 parts of your clay. We're going to mix exactly equal parts of part A and part B. And then once we mix them is when the curing process is going to start. And you do have some time, you have probably up to about an hour. I like to try to do all my stone setting within about the first 20 minutes, just because it's really the freshest and the softest, and it does start curing immediately when you start using it. When you get the crystal clay pack, you're also going to get a pair of gloves. You always want to wear gloves with this. And you're also going to get this little applicator, which is a toothpick with some wax on the end. Let me show you what that's going to do, because this is a very important little tool. This is going to pick up the Chatons to allow us to set them into the clay. Okay, so we've got part A and part B. And we've got our gloves. So I'm going to put the gloves on right now. You cannot store mixed clay, so that's a question we get a lot on these videos with the epoxy clay. In this form right here where they're separate, you can definitely keep it, use it again, store it. And it has a nice shelf life. It'll actually tell you on the box, best by like December of 2016. So this does last a while as long as you seal it back up. But once you mix it, you've got to use it. You cannot store it in its mixed state. So much like resin, if you think of it that way, if you're familiar with working with resin. So I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to pinch off a little bit. I don't need a lot for this project. This is actually way too much already. So you do get a fair amount in one of these packs when you think that you can save it and use it for later. Okay, so the best way I find to get equal parts is to make a little ball, like so. And now I want to make an identical sized ball with the other part. Okay, so I'm going to compare my two balls. And that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to seal this back up and put it away for another time. So take your balls and squish them. And we're going to keep squishing. I mean, you'll see how it's kind of getting a marbled look to it. We want to keep squishing until all the striations are gone and it's a nice uniform color. If you find that you really like working with crystal clay, you can mix colors. So you could start with a red and white, and you can end up with all different shades of pink and different intensities, which is fun. You can really customize your color batches that way. It also means you can just buy a couple colors and then start mixing them and come up with a lot of different colors to work with. Okay, so I'm happy with that. It looks uniform. It's a little hard to tell with the white one, but when you work with other colors, you'll really be able to see those striations if any are there. So now I want to fill my channel with this, and I already can tell I do have too much clay, which is fine. I didn't overmix that much. I'm just going to pinch off a little bit. As you do this more and more, you'll really get used to how much you need. And because I'm going to be filling this channel, I want to make a tube, essentially. I just want to make like a little snake here because it needs to go all the way around my channel, and I need to be able to spread it out. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm just going to press it on and then spread it around. Now, the seam right here is going to get covered with crystals, so I'm not too concerned about it. I'm just squishing it. And it is clay, so it's very, very pliable. And I could have gotten away with even less. I'm going to go with it for this one, but I could have even used less clay. So now I'm just going to roll it. Okay, and at this point, I'm just doing my touch-up work. So I'm going to take off my gloves. You can save these to reuse. It's just if you do, note that there is some residue on here. So what I've actually done is I've swapped it, where I put the other hand in it so that it's facing the other way to get another use out of the gloves. So if that doesn't make sense, I would just put this hand in it going this way, so there's the thumb. Okay. And then after you've worked with this, definitely wash your hands good. Okay, so I'm just molding it. And then I'm going to use my finger just to rub over the edge, which is going to smooth out fingerprints and lines. I think I got a little bit of clay there just from my gloves, but I'll be okay. Smooth it out. Take your time with this part because this is really going to affect what your finished piece looks like. You'll see that I am smoothing out my fingerprints, and then I'm obviously getting more fingerprints on it when I realize that there's a bulge here and there, but it's just a little bit of time here and there. Okay, so this is what I've got so far. Now what I'm going to do is, this is not glued in place, but I'm going to stick it on here just so I can get an idea if it looks right and where it might be bulging. Okay, now I'm going to use this base as a handle because now I can hold it like this and I'm not going to touch my clay. And now I'm going to start adding the Chatons. So I'm going to pick one up and I'm just going to press it into the clay. And I'm just going to do that time and again. Now you could do a pattern. You could use different color Chatons. You can really do whatever you like. But I am just going to do these side by side, one after another. And I'm pressing them into the clay so that the rim of the Chaton is just under the surface of the clay. And that's going to make it so that they don't fall out. You don't want them just, like you wouldn't, let me show you an example. You wouldn't want it just touching like that. You definitely want to press it into the clay. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing this. It's the same action over and over again until I have put as many of these in here as I want. And then I'll come back and I'll show you how to continue making the necklace. I'm almost done. You can see all the sparklies. I'm going to add the last 5 or 6 that I need to do so you can see how it looks. So I just kept adding them all the way around. They were pretty much in rows, like 4 rows total. But every now and again, you'll end up with like a little corner that needs an extra one or it's a little bit diagonal. Don't worry about that. It just looks sparkly and pretty. So if your rows aren't even, don't worry. Okay, so I'm almost done. There's one, and like here, and then my rows are not exactly even right there. There's room for another 1 or 2, so I'm going to add it. So now I'm just going to go and try to press them all into place because the clay does move as you are pressing these into place. So you just want to make sure when you're all done that none of them became dislodged or that your clay ended up too lopsided. So now that this is complete, you can see how sparkly it is. It's really fun. And before we go any further, we're actually going to pause. We're going to let this dry overnight. So I'm going to carefully set it down. I'm going to just put it on my glove actually. And I'm just going to let it be overnight and then I'll come back and I'll complete the necklace. Our top is now dry. We can touch it, work with it. And so I'm just going to put it right here for this moment. And now I'm going to work on the chain and I'm going to attach the chain to the top before I actually attach the top to the bottle. So before we begin, I have a jeweler's blunder to admit. I love this chain. I tested it out with these little jump rings before I did the video and it worked fine. But now it seems to not be working. I don't know if I just had one little link that was larger than the others, but something happened where this will not work. I think we've all encountered this before, and I do love this chain, but I am going to have to swap it out. And because I picked these little jump rings to use with this chain and then these bigger jump rings to use with the bottle, I can also change my supply list in that I don't need these little ones anymore because they were very specific to this chain. So we can save a little bit of money and not have to buy two different sizes of jump rings. So I'm going to put this chain aside, and I've picked another one that is very pretty as well. It also has the figure 8 design, but it has these nice large oval links, which are not going to be an issue getting a jump ring through. I didn't want you guys frustrated. I was really trying to fiddle with this one and make it work, but it just was not happening. So I have 24 inches of this chain, and I'm going to check the ends to make sure that they're clean, and this one is not. And by clean, I mean no partial links. So I want to cut this off. Actually, I could just pull it off with these. And then I'm going to go ahead and check the other end as well. Make sure there's no its or bits. Okay, we're good to go. And now this larger jump ring is very easily going to fit through these links. So I'm going to, well, I have one open, but let me open one to show you on camera how to do this. So you're going to grab either side of the jump ring with a pair of chain nose pliers with the slit up top, and you're just going to twist. Now take your end links from both sides, 2 of them threaded on there, and then you're going to connect this to that loop at the top of your bottle top. And now just close the jump ring. So now that is a very nicely attached chain, and actually that looks quite pretty. It looks just like a really sparkly bead hanging there. But we want to attach the bottle. And to do so, we're just going to go ahead and take some E6000 glue. And I have a scrap piece of wire here as an applicator. Just going to put some glue onto my applicator. Set this aside. And now I'm going to put the glue inside the cap, and I'm going to spread it around the sides. Like so. And now I'm going to stick the bottle with the note already inside into that glue, and I'm going to let that dry. Now you can try to prop it up if you want, so it'll dry like this, or you can just be really careful and make sure it's not drying at an angle. To do that, I'm going to take my pliers and just scoot them under that bottle so that it's level and parallel to my mat. That way the bottle will dry nice and straight, so you don't have a crooked bottle in there. There we go. We'll let that dry, and then our necklace will be complete. Now that our necklace is dry, you can see what the finished piece looks like, and it's fun to have that little message in there. You can find the supplies for this project and many more at Beadaholique.com.